It is the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast bringing you this week's Open Championship over at Royal Birkdale. We're going to have a banger. As always, the show is brought to you by DraftKings. Use code FGD when you're signing up as a first-time depositor. That would help us, help you, help us, help you. We'd really appreciate that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe as always, and comment below who you think is going to win this week. The first person to guess the name correctly will get a free month in the Model Maniac Patreon. We don't know who the winner for the Scottish was because we are doing this on a Friday evening. And as always, I'm joined on a Friday evening by my co-host, Kenny Kim. What's cooking, Kenny Kim?
What is up, Byron? I'm ready for this. Last major of the year. I'm pumped. I was able to hit the U.S. Open. It'd be nice to hit a couple. I don't think I've ever hit two major winners in the same season. For some reason, majors haven't been like my best. So looking to try and hit two. We'll see how that goes. The card is shaping up. I haven't made my final decisions, but there's been a few bets that have been made already. So don't worry. We'll have all the action that you need. DFS-wise, same. So what do you think so far of the Scottish? I sort of love this course low-key now.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about it not being a true links golf course. I think it's just one of the things that, it's just rewarding a very certain skill set, and the guys that can just pound driver around there and do their thing tend to have good results. So we've got a fun leaderboard this week at the Scottish. As we sit right now, it's Jordan Smith. Sorry. I don't know why I think Jordan Spieth would be at the top of the leaderboard, but it's Jordan Smith at the top of the leaderboard with Tom Kim and Rory McIlroy sitting T1 friskily on a Friday afternoon over here. So Matt Fitzpatrick, Minwoo Lee, T4 each halfway through. Tom Kim, the ultimate course horse. I think he's a phenom at this venue. It'll just be interesting to see if he can hang on, because I had Tom Kim at the John Deere, and the tires kind of deflated quite slowly. And then by Sunday, we were just kind of running on flats. So we'll see what happens there. Minwoo Lee showing up for his very first top five in quite some time. And then Nikolai van Dillinghausen. Just worth shouting out a fun little name like that on the show today, since that's likely not going to be in the mix on Sunday. Who the heck knows? We'll see what happens. What are your thoughts so far on the Scottish, Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it. It's like, it's just hard enough where it makes it fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like the way it's grown on me, sort of like what Rory said this past week, where the course has grown on him a little bit. It's definitely faux links, not your typical links. But if you think about it, next week, Birkdale, it's not a typical links either. The whole true links, the first 9 goes one direction, second 9 comes back into the clubhouse. You don't see that this week. You don't see that next week either, which is a little bit of a thing to think about, because it'll be a lot tougher to judge the wind. When you're all going one direction, you know where the wind's going. It's easy. The caddies know what's up. They don't really have to do as much work. But when you shift directions, and of course the wind's going to shift depending on which way you're playing the hole. It makes for, first off, it's going to make for slower rounds. Secondly, it's going to make for a little bit more work for the caddies. The caddies definitely going to be a little bit more important for this week. But getting back to the Scottish, not great for my betting guys. I mean, Wiesberger was in the lead, after day one. He was my 200-1 long shot, and he missed the cut. I think the same thing happened with somebody else this week. Was it Cantley who was in the lead?
Yes.
I think Cantley was in the lead, also tied with Byrne, and he missed the cut. Definitely a wild start, I would say. So, I'm hoping for Wyndham to make a jump. I'm hoping for Hatton to make a jump. We'll see. As for DFS, Goddard
is in one and done as well for me.
I think I used Goddard in one and done. I don't think I used it. I didn't think I bet him. Now for DFS, my GPPs sort of suck. I think 4 of 6 is my best. My cash lineup is 5 of 6 right now, and I think 5 of 6 is under 30%. Like 30%, 5 of 6 or 6 of 6 is under 30%.
Wow.
In double ups. So I'm looking good heading into it. Of course, again, all 4 cash game cornerstones made the cut once again. Svensson made it. I had Svensson and Rattan as my final two, and of course, Wrighton, however the fuck you pronounce his name,
Christopher Wrighton.
Yeah, he shit the bed. But Svensson made it up and made the cut on the number. Thank God. So if you used my lineup, we're 5 of 6 heading into the weekend. We're comfortably in cash position now. It's not guaranteed because it's 5 of 6, but there's only about 30%. There's only about 30% 5 of 6. The odds are in our favor. We'll see how it goes. It'd be nice to get that win, pad the bankroll a little bit. It would be nice. So we'll see how the weekend plays out.
Speaking of odds in your favor, Kenny, kind of jumping the gun here, but I was looking at some bets prior to the show, obviously, and DraftKings has got ridiculous numbers out there right now. They have not reset their futures market. This is currently 3:50 p.m. Central Time on a Friday prior to the Open Championship. So there's some numbers out there that are double the odds of other sports books out there. So FGD to go get some of the best outright numbers there if you are listening.
You got
to the show
some examples? Like I said, I'm an each way guy, so I don't look as much as I should on DK.
The best number you can find elsewhere on Wyndham Clark is 33-1. DraftKings has got a 42. Bobby Mack has got a 42 out there. The best number you can find is a 40. Everyone else is a 35s. Who I will be chatting about is Justin Rose at 47-1. The best next number is 28. So that's like 20 points ahead of where we're going there. So definitely, if we don't like to preach shopping around here, but I mean, if you take a look at this, you can literally see this left-hand column is DraftKings, so like they've got some fancy ass numbers out there right now, especially in the middle of the board. Yeah, there's been a lot of lagging out there. So go take advantage of that, friends, before they reset you on Saturday night or Sunday night. So we'll see what happens, but kind of blew the low there on some of our bets that we'll be chatting about, Kenny, but it's Royal Birkdale. It's the Open Championship. Let's cut right into the meat of the potatoes. Yeah. What are you thinking for a course preview this week, my friend?
All right, so let's get to the course for this week. The final major of the year is upon us as the world's best golfers head to Southport, England for the Open Championship from Royal Birkdale Golf Club. This is I think the 10th or 11th time, something like that. The Open has been played here, and the first time since 2017 when Spieth took down Kuchar as both of them blew away the field, shooting -12 and -9 respectively. Funny enough, I was looking back in my write-up from 2017. Yes, I've done this for that long. A couple of my favorite 10K and up DFS play was Spieth, and my favorite 7K play was Kuchar. So wow. I must have had a good week. I would think that I had a good week. I don't remember 9 hours ago, so I'm not going to remember 9 years ago. So it's been a while. We've had success at the Open Championship here. We had Ben Coley on the show the year that Shane Lowry won, and he touted Shane Lowry. So it was pretty nice. And that was like the first year we did betting on the show. So it was nice getting that win. But I haven't had many majors. Most of it, I've had a Koepka. I think I've had a JT. I've had that Lowry. I had the Wyndham Clark this past year. I think I had Sergio, maybe.
Oh, wow.
So not many. In about 40 plus majors that I've been doing this show, I've maybe only hit 6 winners. Okay. I guess that's like right around my neighborhood, 15%. So maybe I'm right around where I should be.
It literally tells you what makes it so special. It's only 4 times a year that you get to flex your skills in these situations. So from a betting perspective, we see exactly what these golfers have to deal with because you got a nut up for 16 rounds. That's it, So it's awesome. I love major season.
Yeah. So let's get back. The weather for the year Spieth and Kuchar played wasn't that bad. Now, Friday of that year, there were like 40-mile-per-hour gusts. Yeah. So honestly, it could have been 15 under, 12 under, something like that as 1 and 2, if it wasn't for that Friday, right? The other 3 rounds are relatively calm, though the final round did have like gusts up to 25. It was probably steady like 12 to 15. And then it had gusts to 25. So it wasn't that bad. The course played soft that year, though. That was the one difference that we're going to see from that 2017 to now. The course is a little bit soft. Now, the time before in 2008, Patty Harrington braved the rough weather conditions to take home his second consecutive Open title with a winning score of 3 over. The weather, of course, is the main defense of this course and should be looked at very carefully when making your DFS lineups this week. Without a stiff breeze, this course is very gettable, and the winning score could easily reach double digits under par. With strong winds, this course is one of the most challenging on the Open rotation, and even par would be a great score. As of now, the winds don't look crazy. But again, this is Friday, right? The week before. Right now, it doesn't look bad.
So
all
far
4
out.
days. We're looking like 15 mile per hours or less with like under 20 mile per hour
15.
gusts.
That's classic links.
And so if it stays like that, I think maybe we see a score similar to last time, a winning score, like a 12-9, because the one difference from Spieth's year to this year is the fact that it hasn't rained that much there. It's pretty baked out from what I've heard. And that, of course, will make it more difficult. It will make it more difficult to hold the fairways, though these fairways are different compared to the majority of fairways we see in the Open rotation. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. One narrative.
And there's been zero rain leading up to Sunday. Yeah, Sunday's going to be the first time this course sees rain in forever, apparently. So, yeah.
So there's going to be plenty of rollout. Now, one narrative about this week are the former winners at Birkdale and the major championships they have won. Of the last 9 winners at Birkdale, only Ian Baker Finch has 1 career major win. All other 8 winners have multiple major wins in their career. Peter Thompson has 5 majors. Arnold Palmer has 7. He won this. Has 7 majors. Lee Trevino's won this. He has 6 major wins. Johnny Miller won here. He has 2 major wins. Tom Watson won here. He has 8 major wins. Ian Baker Finch, the lone one, where this was his only major win. Mark O'Mara, 2 major wins. Patty Harrington, 3 major wins. Jordan Spieth, 3 major wins. So this is a big boy course, right? Big boy course, big boy names. For me, for the betting process, more than likely, I'm sticking near the top of the pool. That's what this shows me. I don't think you need a major win to be viable for betting, but you have to have major prowess. Yeah, we have to be able to see that you have these skills to win multiple majors, right? And honestly, there's not that many golfers in the field with that type of skill level. And that is something that you can definitely key on, right? I mean, guys who haven't won multiple majors that I would probably think of would be like a Bobby Mack, right? Would be like one of the guys. I can see him winning majors in the future. He's good enough. A Justin Rose, right? Or something like that. These guys who have the talent to win majors, and they're young, and you see an Oberg maybe even, or something like that. If you're into him this week, I know you're not. I'm sort of on the fence as well, but like those type of guys, I wouldn't look away from because of this narrative that I just put out. What do you think? What are your takes on that narrative, Byron?
Well, as always, Kenny, I'm going to rebuttal the fact that you need to have I'm not interested in betting anyone apart from maybe like a Chris Gotterup who doesn't have significant major success. If you take a look at the screen here, Basically, 13 of the last 13 Open champion winners had a first or a second in a prior major. And, it's incredible to see. It's one of the most strict of the trends. Even Augusta's got a fourth place and a sixth place there with some Scotty Schefflers and the likes. The Open Championship just rewards guys that win and finish second in majors. So I also noticed that Open champions have always finished inside the top 10, typically in a prior Open championship. So those are basically, there's your two boxes for you this week, friends. Those are the two most important for me for the outright market. Obviously, you can't put everyone that checks these boxes into lineups because they're all expensive for the most part. But there are some expensive guys that don't check some of these boxes, which is kind of interesting to note. So absolutely, pedigree, be damned, except for majors, where this is it. This is when the big boys do their thing.
Sounds good. Let's get to the meat of the course. Royal Birkdale is around a 7,200-yard par 70 with 4 par 3s and 2 par 5s. Both the par 5s should be reachable by the majority of golfers if the wind isn't directly in their faces. These 2 par 5s are also in the last 6 holes of the back 9. So you can sort of maybe expect fireworks in those final 2 holes, especially if the wind's at the back. And these guys can reach easily and have some eagle opportunities when it comes to it. The 4 par 3s range from 175 to 200 yards, and 7 of the par 4s are in the 400 to 450-yard range. The par 4 fifth hole could be drivable by bombers. Now, here's the thing. It was the 5th hole. It's not the 5th hole. I don't think it's the 5th hole anymore, but there is a short par 5 now because they switched some of the routing from 2017, but there is a short par 4 that could be drivable by bombers if the wind is at their backs. But there's a lot of trouble with pot bunkers guarding the front of the green and a small pond on the right side of the hole. This is a links course, but unlike most links courses that are laid out in one direction on the front 9 and come back to the clubhouse on the back 9, there are very few consecutive holes that play in this direction. So judging the wind direction on a per hole basis is going to be tougher. Again, a little bit more challenging for the caddies this week. The 2 par 5s, again, come on the last 6 holes. Now, off the tee, golfers are going to see narrow fairways that average about 28 yards only in width. For comparison, some of the fairways at Shinnecock were nearly 60 to 70 yards in width, right?
Yeah.
Now, the fairways at Royal Birkdale are firm and extraordinarily flat for an open course. Most courses on the open rotation are known for their bumps and mounds on the fairways, which can lead to bad bounces and uneven stances on approach shots. Not at Birkdale. Some people have compared the fairways here to a dance floor. Now, if you miss the fairways, it's anything but flat. Huge sand dunes, some up to 25 feet tall, surround the fairways with tall, thick penal rough and many humps and mounds. The first cut of rough isn't that bad, but if golfers hit it into the knee-high gorse and rough, it's basically a hack it out, wedge it up, and par will feel like a birdie situation. There are a ton of fairway bunkers, and a lot of these bunkers are deep, like tremendously deep. They will play as true hazards. Hitting it into some of these fairway bunkers will leave golfers with no chance of reaching the green. The fairway bunkers are usually in a 250 to 315 yard off the tee range, which is prime less than driver location, right? There are a few holes where in the right wind conditions, bombers can fly the bunkers, but a miss into the rough can be just as bad as missing in the bunkers. With these narrow fairways and trouble everywhere, I expect the majority of golfers to keep their drivers in the bag on the majority of holes. Now, on approach shots, golfers are going to see greens that are around average in size, 4,500 to 5,000 square feet. The majority of greenside bunkers guard the front of the greens. This is done to protect the greens from the typical link style shot of running approaches up to the green. Again, another reason why you can't miss these fairways. Sometimes if you get into the rough at a lot of these open rotation courses, you can hit, you play the low ball, have it roll up, up onto these greens. But here it is a lot tougher to do that because the bunkers are situated like in the front majority. Like there's barely any holes that have bunkers on the back half of the greens. Mm-hmm. So what you're going to see a lot of, I think, is you're going to see a lot of golfers miss deep this week. You're going to see a lot of golfers miss deep. They're going to miss over the greens. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be a lot easier to get it up and down from the rough behind the greens than it deep green side pop bunkers. Now, bent grass and fescue, and there will be some slope and undulation. The most undulating greens are on the 2 par 5s. The greens will play firm and should play. I think they're going to play slow, but maybe they kick up the speed because of the lack of wind. We're not sure right now, but normally you see 10.5 or less on the stimp. Like, some years where they expect a lot of wind, you're seeing less, like 9.5 on the stimp, right? But I mean, I know at Shinnecock, they were expecting some high winds and they had those at like 10.5 one day, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know if they know that the wind isn't going to be that bad. Maybe they try and push it up. Maybe they mow it a little bit more. Maybe they press it a little bit more. I don't know. As of now, I would expect it to be around 10.5 and play slow.
Yeah,
but we shall see. Byron, what are your boxes? What are you looking for? I've been looking forward to this all week. Show me what you got, brother.
Well, I kind of jumped the gun already with the 2 boxes that we're going to be checking this week, but we'll run through those a bit more in depth here, Kenny. But before,
some people skip the intro, so let's just go over it again.
We will go from the top. We're going to go in depth here, baby. So I wanted to just first show you in the Model Maniac Patreon here on the screen. We've got
and one thing, guys. I know people are going to be watching this part definitely. If there are timestamps. That's what we use it for. I know people have been asking. I think it seems like we've gotten a few new listeners here in the last few weeks. And one of the comments that we've been getting is less of the recap in the beginning. Well, here's the thing. It's our show that we like doing that. We're going to do that. What you can do, if you're not a fan, use the timestamps. Mike does a great job going to the timestamps, listing all the important different sections that we have. So, if you want to listen to just the golf part, start at the course preview every week, and you'll be fine. All right, go ahead.
That's what I used to do when I used to listen to the show back in the day. Shows how long you've been doing this for, Kenny. So if you take a look at the screen here, I have got Royal Birkdale from 2017's leaderboard up, and we can just go down the names here and just see what's going on. When I went back to look at Jordan Spieth's driving ability back in 2017, 2018, Jordan Spieth in that stretch was neutral in driving accuracy. He was hitting the golf ball the least far he's ever hit it. So he was actually perfectly tailored to keep his golf ball in play relative to what Jordan Spieth is capable of. He's never been a very accurate driver of the golf ball, but it's been a nightmare to try to find any stats associated with this tournament back in 2017. It just happened in a black hole, apparently. So, but what you can do is if you are a gamer, if you are an OG ball knower, a fantasy golf degenerate, you know that Matt Kuchar is a very accurate driver of the golf ball. Hao Tong Lee, kind of in the same way there. Rafa Cabrera-Bello, Rory McIlroy, fantastic driver of the golf ball. He can hit 3 irons as far as everyone else hits drivers. Mark Leishman, Alex Noren, Brandon Grace, Matthew Southgate, Brooksy, Stenson, Casey, Ian Poulter, Zach Johnson, Jason Duffner, Chris Wood, Hideki Matsuyama. Those are your guys inside the top 20. Just from the eye test, I know all of them were driving the living piss out of the golf ball when it comes to keeping the ball in play, above the field average. So once I get everything dialed in on the back end, once we get the models fully fired up on Monday, I need some more data to come in before I can really do all of that stuff. This is a Friday night. I think we're going to be looking at guys that drive the ball accurately, But what I do have is in this model ranking situation over here, you can go over to the right-hand side and just see who's been driving the ball accurately in 2026. I've got all the strokes gained for the various things over here. So you can go driving accuracy. These are your most accurate drivers of the golf ball this week. Russell Henley, Aaron Rai, Alex Fitzpatrick, Siwoo Kim, Kota Kanako, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa, Corey Connors, Casey Jarvis, Jaden Shaper, Daniel Hillier, Victor Hovland, JJ Spahn, and Tom McKibben, rounding out your top 15 guys there. Basically gaining 6% more fairways on the field than average, over the last 2026 sample size. Yeah. So those are guys that you typically see. Shout out Alex Noren there at the 5% range, who also had a top 6 year last year. So we'll see what happens there. Then we're going to go back to the trends here. Kenny, you asked me, you mentioned 2-time winners of majors at this golf course. They've already won 2, or this was their second?
No, they throughout their careers,
they've had 2 multiple prior.
So yeah. even after.
Even before. After. Okay.
Even after,
so
yes.
We're retroactively shoving.
Well, that's
stats
why
down
I was saying earlier that the way you got to play this is guys that you think have chance of winning multiple majors if you're really invested in that narrative. And honestly, there's not that many guys out there that you think they can win multiple majors.
We can look at that there too, because like I said earlier, we've got 13 of the last 13 Open champions having finished first or second in a prior major before that. You have to have pedigree at this golf course. We can take a look at that situation. Just in the last little while, I have Open Championship finishes over here, and I have the best major finish for golfers over here as well. I'm going to quickly freeze my screen so we don't have to worry about too much stuff over there. Here we go. So the best major finish for these guys, we're going to filter by smallest to largest to just try and get who has won a major in the last 5 years, 23 majors, 5.5 years, and who's also finished second. I'll rattle them off. It's a mediumly sized list, and I'll break it up into winners and second place finishes. Here are your winners of major tournaments since 2021. Scheffler, McIlroy, Fitzpatrick, Schauffele, Rahm, Morikawa, DeChambeau, Clark, Koepka, Justin Thomas, Aaron Rai, Hideki Matsuyama, Cameron Smith, JJ Spahn, and Brian Harman have all won a couple. Past Open champs are Brian Harman, Cameron Smith, Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, from what I can see here in the field. Just kind of eyeballing it over there. And then guys that have finished second in majors in the last 23 majors. Oberg, Rose, Cameron Young, Hovland, McIntyre, Burns, Spieth, Kim, English, Tom Kim, Sepp Straka, Jason Day, Alex Smalley, Louis Oosthuizen, and Billy Horschel. These are the guys. The chances of one of these dudes winning the Open Championship this week, I'll try and zoom out a little bit here if I can, is pretty good. It's a big list. It's tough to kind of narrow it down, but if you kind of scroll down, you'll see how many guys don't fit that criteria. So, when it comes to these kind of things, the winner's likely over here somewhere, and we just got to figure out how to determine that. Well, what we can do is we can make that a bit of a smaller situation, because I went and took a look at the last, what is this? The last 17 Open Championships, basically the last 15 of them, and saw what a golfer's best Open Championship finish was prior to winning the Open Championship. And I basically found that within the last 8 Open Championships, the score you're going to see at the finish was part of that sample size. Only down here, Darren Clark finishing 11th in 2011. He had a second place finish back in 97. So it was like 14, 15 years, since his best Open finish, but he did have a T11 in 2000 and, leading into 2011 over there. So what we know, top 9 finishes, basically a top 10. We've seen 11 of the last 13 or so do just that. It's kind of incredible to see. We've got Cam Smith, who doesn't check that box. Is Cam Smith at St. Andrews. Can we even really call that a links golf course? I don't necessarily think so. And then Colin Morikawa showing up in his debut after just winning the PGA Championship. So he did check at least the past winner box, so he did check that, but the past winner at the PGA Championship was this one over here, didn't have a finish there. So worth noting all of that stuff for you guys there. We can go over to the situation and see, okay, who's got the best finishes in the Open Championship over the last 8 Open Championships. And I went back all the way to 2017. I usually just keep it 2021. But Birkdale is 2017, so it's relevant. I felt like adding that additional column in there would make sense this week, and you can kind of see a lot of miscuts for some guys that have landed up to go and win Open Championship. So Open Championship winners since 2017 when they played you at Royal Birkdale. Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Cameron Smith, Brian Harman, Jordan Spieth, Shane Lowry, and Francesco Molinari at $5,600 this week. Some second place finishes: Rory, Rahm, Rose, Young, Tom Kim, Harris English, Sepp Straka, Jason Day, Billy Horschel, Tommy Fleetwood. And then the list actually is kind of short for 3rd to 10. And I'll just keep rattling them off. It's going to be Louis, Goddard, Haotong Lee, Fitzpatrick Matthew, Wyndham Clark, Brooks, Hovland, Henley, Bobby Mack. Those are all top 5. You can go and look at the screen. I'm not rattling off the rest of these. There's a bunch of names. But basically, if you have a blue column over here, a blue number, you are a top 10 in an Open. If you have a blue column over here, you have a top 2 in the past 5.5 months to get yourself a background color of green, which means that you check the 2 boxes we are looking for this week. Those guys are right on your screen over here. There are 22 dudes that are checking both boxes with a second in a major prior and a top 10 in an Open Championship over the last 8 Open Championships. They're on the screen. I'm not going to read them all out. We've already mentioned most of their names. Some names that kind of stick out to me is like a Billy Horschel, a Tom Kim, a Harris English, even some Sepp Straka, not playing the greatest, Jason Day as well, doing some Lord's work over there with a couple long-term solid finishes that we'll see what happens there. But that's kind of where I'm going this week, Kenny. So far, this is like the big major picture. As always, I stick to major data, in particularly with the Open Championship and the Masters, because we've just seen past major performances really impact those 2 tournaments in particular, at least on the upside side of things with the winners. So there's going to have to be a couple exceptions, because you don't just magically have a top 2 in a major. You got to go and get it before having one, right? So there are going to be exceptions to that come to the rule, but a lot of these guys come close, finish second, then win after finishing second. So that's typically how you see it over there. Let's dive into this week's bets. But before we do that, let's actually quickly hear a quick word from our partners. New DraftKings customers, get in the game right now. Sign up today and make your first deposit of just $5 and instantly get $25 in free Pick 6 bonus picks, plus a powerful single-use 100% winnings boost token. That means you can play for free with $25 in bonus picks. And if you win, boost those winnings up to 100%. That's up to $100 boost in cash. New customers only. Bonus picks and your boost token expire in just 14 days, so don't wait. This offer is live from June 20th through August 23rd. Download the DraftKings app, sign up, and start playing Pick 6 today. Must be 18 or older, 19 in Alabama, Nebraska, 21 in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Valid only where Pick 6 is available. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit required. Full terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Play free, win bigger. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. And we are back with this week's Open Championship betting preview, baby. Kenny Kim, who's going to win the Open this week, and why are they going to do so?
All right, so I've only made one bet so far. I have 3 guys that I'm targeting. The first one's going to be Rory McIlroy. And here's the thing. I'm not sure if I'm betting him, but it looks like I will be. If I don't bet him, my card will expand, and I'll go over some of those guys that might be on the card if Rory's not. But my first bet, more than likely, again, I'm waiting for the reset, will be Rory McIlroy. I think you can get him 7.5 to 1. You can get him like 6.5 to 1 with 5 places. I'm not exactly sure how I'll go about that, but I'm thinking it could just be Rory and a couple of guys, and that's it. So, Rory, all about national opens, all about the majors nowadays. You can see how he's doing in Scotland. He's preparing for everything. He's already played a couple of rounds over at Birkdale, checked it out. His iron game, good. Short game, good. Driver has been a bit wild. But so far this week in Scotland, through 2 rounds, he's actually 11th in driving accuracy. He's going to be using less than driver on the really tight holes. But if he can unleash his driver with accuracy on the holes where he has to break it out, he could win by like a bunch. It could like be a runaway. Just the way that his mindset is, and and how he's been doing at major championships, winning his 2nd green jacket. The confidence is there. That that's all he cares about now. He's in the Tiger stage of his career, where the only thing that matters really are majors, and for him, national opens. And I think he preps for him correctly. He knows how to get what he needs to do to get the prep done for the course that he needs, where he's playing. I like Rory. It's very, very likely he's going to be on the card. Now, if he wins this week and he drops to 5-1 or something, he's already overtaken Scheffler as the favorite.
Yeah.
Scheffler's dropped to, I think, 750, right? And I see Rory at like 675, plus 675 or something like that, around that area. So we've already seen Rory jump. I'm hoping he doesn't win, right? I'm hoping maybe a backdoor top 10 or something like that this week at the Scottish. So maybe we can get an 8-1 or something like that. We'll see. We'll see. And it could just be win only for me as well for Rory this week. Next, this is a bet that I have made.
Sorry, Kenny. I think that's worth noting. Some places, he has flipped. I know we just showed DraftKings and Scotty's still 6-1 there, but there are books that have offered a slightly cheaper Scotty Scheffler than a Rory McIlroy. The betting favorite is Rory McIlroy at some books. So I need to go dive in and see when last that actually happened. It must be 3 or 4 years ago.
2-3 years probably.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. I'm curious.
All right, so this one I've made already, and it's dropped a little bit already since I made it, but I would still do it. I would still look into it. It's going to be Matthew Fitzpatrick, 20-1 with 5 places. I think it's dropped to 16-1 with 5 places already. But again, this is the bet that I've already made. Fitzy has been the most consistent golfer this year behind Scotty, and he already has 3 wins. Iron game strong, short game strong, accurate off the tee. The dude looks like he's primed and ready for a second major. He played here, I think, in 2017. He missed a cut, whatever. He was a young guy back then. I think he seems like the guy who's most primed and ready to get his next major that's playing right now that we've seen throughout the year. It's him and
T44, yeah, Kenny.
Oh,
don't sell your boy short.
Okay, so he made the cut. But like him and Goddard seem like the two most likely at this point, even above Cam Young, above Fleetwood, above Xander, above Oberg. Like I feel like those 2 guys, right, have the capability to make this jump, and they look like they're most ready for it out of anyone else. So I like Fitzpatrick, 20-1. 5 places.
And DraftKings has him at 21-1. I just cannot state that enough. I know you said it's drifted at some places. DraftKings still has 21-1.
Look, man, if you're listening to this Friday night or even Saturday morning, and you're going to be placing bets on guys that are looking good at the Scottish Open, you might want to think about jumping on DK and getting their number, because a good finish here for some of these guys will crater their number on the reset on Monday. Okay. Now, again, that's the risk you take, because if, say, Fitzy ends up shooting 10 over on the weekend, right? I think we can get back to the 20-1 number. Or even more.
I don't know about that, but you never know.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it's golf. We've seen crazier shit, right? We've seen crazier shit. So we'll see. Now, my final guy of the 3, and it could just be these 3. is going to be Bobby Mack. And now, something Bobby said after his first round of the Scottish Open stuck with me. And I'd like to go to that video right now if we could play it. I think
just give me 1 second. Yeah.
All right. So we'll talk about a little bit more, but when it comes to okay, here we go.
Yeah, I just got to be in the right. Everyone knows I'm like a kettle, always boiling away. It's just ready to erupt. So it's one of them ones where I just got to look when life's good off the golf course. That's one part, and then it's coming on the golf course and it's being able to accept. My biggest thing is acceptance, and everyone's the same. If you can accept the bad, you probably won't play many bad rounds of golf. And it's like that shot on 18 on my last hole there. I've hit a lovely 5-iron, a couple of yards right of my target. I think it's landed up just short of the pin on the slope, and then it's ran all the way down, come back in the bunker. If I'm not in a good headspace, I'm going ballistic. How unlucky is that? Yeah, it's a bit unlucky, but I know I've got the skill and the tools to deal with the next shot, whereas when I'm not in that mind frame, it's doom and gloom. I'm like, oh, I'm dead in here, I'm in the worst spot possible. Whereas when the mind frame's and the way it is just now, it's like, well, I'm in the bunker, I know I can hit this bunker shot, so let's go and do it.
Yeah. So his last comment there, when he's talking about that shot on 18, and the whole thing is talking about his mental space. And that is super important, right, for Bobby, because he can blow up and that can really derange his round. It could really mess up a round for Bobby because of his mental. But the last paragraph that he's talked about after his shot on 18, when he said, but I know I've got the skill and tools to deal with the next shot. As when I'm not in that frame, it's like I'm dead here. I'm in the worst spot possible. But when the mind frame is the way it is now, I know I can hit these bunker shots. Just go and do it. I know a lot of people can talk out of their necks on these situations, but the thing about Bobby is, you know that he's super comfortable in these links conditions, right? And I feel like when he plays links golf, he reverts to a non-psychopath version of himself because he knows links golf and he knows that sometimes you're going to get unlucky. For him to think like this, that I got the skills, don't stress, that spoke volumes to me. Like, I'm in on Bobby. True links player. I think he's going to win multiple Open championships in his career. He just looks so good, even in the Scottish. Just how he uses his imagination. You can tell that he grew up playing links, and it's still a big part of his game, and he still got it. And so I'm going to go ahead and bet Bobby 30-1. Right now with 5 places. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to wait until Monday for the reset, just in case he's right now I think he's tied for 6, right, going into the weekend to Scotland. If he wins this, what I'll probably have to do is go with him with the 3 places. But I'm definitely going to bet Bobby Mack. I am definitely going to bet. I've already bet Matthew Fitzpatrick. Now, Rory is the question. I could just bet Rory and those two and just call it a day. And it's very, very possible that happens. But if I don't use Rory, right, other guys that I will be targeting this week, if I don't bet Rory, Morikawa. Guy's just been playing really good golf the whole year, right? He has the links experience. He's boom or bust on links courses. He's 30-1 right now. Hasn't played in a little bit of time. That back injury is still hovering over him. I think his number can drift. I think we can wait till Wednesday to bet Morikawa. I think. And I think that number will drift, okay, unless people start talking him up on Monday. So make sure you check the reset on Monday. Another guy, Wyndham Clark, of course, another guy that I would be looking at. He's been the best golfer in the world the last 2 months. It's hard to go up against that. Has had good results. I think it was just last year where he had, I think, a 6th place finish at the Open Championship.
4th.
What's up?
4th place. Yep.
There you go. 4th place. Other guys, JJ Spawn. First Open Championship appearance ever last year was 23rd. Right? Solid. Hits so many fairways. Iron game, solid. Right? Around the green game, very, very good. He's another guy that I'll be looking at. And I think his number is crazy, like 60, 70, 80, somewhere around there right now, right? If I'm not mistaken.
86.
Tom Kim, another guy that I will take a peek at, 100-1 right now on DK. Again, links golf seems like it's his shizzle, right? It seems like it's his shit. And honestly, if I'm going to say it, he is the most likely Korean to win a major at this moment in time, even with his poor play this year prior to the last couple of months. And that's just because of the Open Championship, because his game is so suited. Like, I thought Siwoo Kim's game would be suited for the Open Championship as well, but he's been garbage here for some reason. See, now Tom, we expect his game to translate to the Open Championship because of the way that he's played, and he has shown up. And so I think that he has the best Korean chance of a major since KJ Choi. Y.E. Yang, my bad. Other guys.
Dogs are barking.
Yeah. Other guys I'll look at, Hatton, Reed, maybe even a little bit of Noren out there. So those are the guys that I will target if I do not bet Rory. Make sure you check my Twitter, my X account at KendoVT for the final card on Wednesday. Maybe. Do you have a guest for your Tuesday show, Byron?
I don't yet.
Maybe I bounce back in on Tuesday. And so you can watch Byron's show when we talk again, after going over what we need to go over for the next week. Our final thoughts could be something that we talk about and maybe do. So just keep an eye out on Byron's show, Back Nine Bets on the Mayo Media Network on Tuesday afternoon.
Let's go. 3 Eastern. We'll see if Kenny can make it. Maybe we'll change it for a bit. Let's go. Okay, so that's Kenny. I'm going to double down on what Kenny had to say about Tom Kim. I am in on Tom Kim this week. Second at the 2023 Royal Liverpool Open Championship. So that checked 2 boxes simultaneously. Got a major top 2, and we've got a top 10 at an Open Championship in that period. And then, just for a little honey sprinkle, we've got a little 3rd place finish action here at the 2026 US Open, which is his only major finish this year is the 3rd at the US Open. Did not play the PGA and did not play the Masters. It just shows you how poor of a form he was in. And you can kind of see, even during a bad stretch of golf where he was kind of falling out of major qualification criteria ranges, he was still like scraping it together in majors. He's always someone I've had my eye on in majors ever since he showed up. Like this 8th place finish at the US Open in 2023, and then followed up by a 2023 Open Championship 2nd place finish. This US Open is a 3rd now in the major before he goes over to the Open. So playing some great golf. If you open up the Royal Birkdale leaderboard, buddy, you can find like 15 guys on this list that are Tom Kim comps. It's like it's short guys that excel with their irons and need to make a couple putts under major circumstances. There are some better short gamers, but most of these guys are short, good accuracy guys. Tom Kim is absolutely one of them. 105-1 over on DraftKings for a Timothy Kim Open Championship outright ticket.
Timothy Kim, I think that's what I'm calling him from now on. Timothy.
Timothy Chevrolet.
Kim.
Then we're gonna go to. I've got a couple futures, which I will go from futures that you can probably get a better number on the guy to the ones that are going to be almost half the odds that I got them at first. So let's go with the first guy that you can probably find right under Timothy over here is English. Harris English, we checked both boxes at last year's 2025 Royal Portrush Open Championship, finishing second there. The second of 2 runner-up finishes in 2025. And if you take a look at Harris English's track record in majors, it's incredible. Unfortunately, we had the miscut at the US Open, which completely nuked my plus 400, make the cut in all 4 majors, and he missed by 1 shot, unfortunately. But if you take a look at his major track record, it's been fantastic. This 2023 era was phenomenal as well. And then I think there's some injuries involved down his pedigree as well too. But if you just take a look at what Harris has got up to last year, that second place finish is fantastic. He is a more accurate than long driver of the golf ball. The numbers out there, I've got him at an 80-1 right now. If you're looking for an Harris English, you can probably find him on DraftKings at a casual 105-1. You know, so
I think
there we go.
Drift on the reset.
Yeah, it'll probably drift close to that 80. You know, but he hasn't necessarily.
No, I think it'll go up. If it's
even further
now, I don't see it going down.
Okay, well then hang tight, people. You know, if you're going with Kenny's philosophy there, go for it. It's 105-1. You know, it's a tenth of your bankroll for me that you're investing there. I'm in at 80. Then I'm going to be going to guys that are starting to get closer to what I got them at. I have a Justin Rose 90-1, which was on DraftKings as well, and that's now 47, like we mentioned earlier. If you want
that number's going to get closer to 90. It's not
the Rosie.
Down.
I find that hard to believe, Kenny, especially if you're looking at the other markets. You know, I think the fact that all
have they gone down? Maybe
yeah.
It will. For me, I don't see guys that don't this week getting better numbers than what they have. I usually on these bets, the numbers go up unless they did something the Sunday before.
The only difference is I think this number is so off compared to market that it will be the only one that gets shorter. I wouldn't be shocked if the 28s drift into the 30s. You know, that would make more sense to me as well.
Yeah,
you know, I think those numbers definitely come to us.
Yeah, I think it can get the 28s can get to the 40s pretty easy.
Yeah, but it won't be shorter than 47, which will be the best number you'll see all week. So that's currently on DraftKings, FGD code over there for you virgins. So Justin Rose, if we take a look at how do you find Justin Rose, you got to go to an Open Championship second place finish at Royal Troon last year, 16th at Portrush Royal Troon 2 years ago, he finished second. And then if we're looking for more recent pedigree in majors, we had a second place finish for Justin, third place finish for him at the Masters. He missed a short putt, and then a prior year Masters second place finish, and then the Open second place finish. This guy just shows up in Open Championships or majors in general. He is one of the biggest competitor I know, in my opinion. I don't think there's anyone that's more mentally free flow. Like when they speak of flow state, Justin Rose gets so flow statey in majors and Ryder Cups because, you know, he wanted to fight one of the Bryson DeChambeau's caddy inadvertently at the Ryder Cup because he was walking on his line. He was just so zoned in, and he putts so well in majors, and now he's starting to hit his irons better.
He flips a switch with that putter in majors. It's so crazy.
It's like every putt is for his life in a major championship and a Ryder Cup. Exactly. So those are two instances where you just know Justin Rose is going to show up until he's physically unable to do it anymore. But he's doing so much outside of the golf course to stay physically primed up to stick with these guys like Ludwig's and Nicholas Norgaards and Aldrichs, who are just ripping it by him. He's actually got stronger and further the more that Justin Rose has got into his 40s. He's putting together one of the best mid 40-year age bracket careers ever, you know, along with Phil Mickelson, RIP there. So, you know, I think we could see some big things from Justin Rose at 47-1. Very fair ticket, in my opinion, over on DraftKings. Go grab that. And then we get, like, when you talk about futures just being wonderful, I got a Chris Goddard up 66-1, but there are 28s out there as well. And I would be interested in that. In all honesty, I do think that is still a very fair number for one of the most prodigious win players we know. We've got his best finish in a major is a third at his only Open Championship debut. Third place finish. That's after winning the Scottish the week before. He shows up to the Open having just won in Europe for the first time ever. What was that? His second or third win of his career at the Scottish. It's so difficult now because he's got 5. It just blends into the background. And, he's sitting T6 right now on the Scottish Open leaderboard as of Friday evening. So he's playing fantastic golf again in the wind. He just won the John Deere Classic. I'm almost hoping that he doesn't win this week so that he can win next week because I've got a much bigger bet on him at 66 than I had this week at 28 or whatever he was at. But he's the same odds to win the Open Championship, which I think is way more linksy as well. Like we saw, 10 to 15 mile per hour wins. That's more than enough for Chris Gotterup to separate himself with that Oklahoma ball flight that he possesses. It's a delight to see. So worth noting there. What's also very interesting while we're doing this is Hao Tong Lee sitting with the 4th place in the last Open and a 3rd when they played here last time in 2017. We'll chat more about that a little bit later. So that's it for me. I've got Chris Gotterup, I've got Justin Rose, I've got Harris English, Tom Kim, and actually I have one more. It's Matthew Fitzpatrick at 21-1. I think it makes way too much sense for me to go to Fitzy this week. Kenny's on him as well. If you take a look at Matthew Fitzpatrick's pedigree at these things, we finally checked that top 10 last year at Port Rush, and we know he's the US Open champion. As you see in 2025, we had 2 top 10s in majors. He's kind of gone off the boil after winning the Open, the US Open, that is, in 2022. That typically happens after you have a life-changing event for someone that just came from wherever he came from, some little small town. We are back to playing some really good golf again in majors, as you can see here in this last little while. It's basically top 22s, top 30s, top 40s, nonstop in the majors. So hasn't had the best links track record, but has been consistent. Like he's only missed 1 cut in the last little while. In 2017, he finished 44th here. What Matthew Fitzpatrick does the very best, and that's why I bet him at freaking Shinnecock, was I think I bet him top 20 there, and he finished solo 22nd, which was devastating. But I bet him because he's one of the most accurate drivers of the golf ball in the field. Like if you just take a look at his driving stats, he's well up there when it comes to the driving accuracy percentages for this year is old Fitzy, gaining 8% on the field. That's like right up there with some of the game's elites. Colin Morikawa, Tommy Fleetwood, Corey Connors, that's where Matt Fitzpatrick is, and he's gaining still a yard on the field distance-wise. So a good, complete total driver of the golf ball is Matthew Fitzpatrick. In England, he's from England. I went the Alex Fitzpatrick route in Scotland. Didn't quite work out. I really like his brother this week too, but I need some more pedigree before I'm really going to go to you. His older brother obviously has all of that, as I've discussed. So 21-1, Matthew Fitzpatrick on the card this week. Let's go. All right, Kenny. I will also have all my placement bets on Back 9 Bets at 3 Eastern on Tuesday. We'll have Kenny on there as well to kind of recap some stuff that we've learned since chatting. Basically going to be 4.5 days in between since we've done shows, which is quite a lot. And for the Open Championship, that's a big deal because of weather and wave edges and tee times that we'll be getting, right? Because they tee off 1 at the Open Championship. They only go off of hole 1. They play from hole 1 the whole day. So, it could be a full 10 hours between the first tee ball going in the 18th hole and the last guy teeing off kind of thing. It's a long day and conditions can change quickly, especially at a golf course like this. So knowing that, make sure that you get your lineups built, but change them as needed closer to Wednesday once you have a very predictable weather forecast on Wednesday night. I say that with inverted comments for you listeners. All right, friends, let's get into this week's Blood, Sweat, and DFS tiers for the Open Championship. We have got a Scotty Scheffler, Kenny Kim, who via your text messages, I believe you believe, is a very affordable $13,300. We've also got Rory McIlroy now starting to push that $12,000 range at 11.9. Tommy Fleetwood and Matt Fitzpatrick rounding out the 10K range. let's chat about Rory and Scotty in isolation. I think they are probably the two decisions you got to make this week. Obviously, can't play them together. Scotty or Rory, where are we going here, Kenny Kim?
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to have one Scotty lineup. Here's the thing. He missed the cut this week. He was only 8% owned in GPPs. I don't think I've ever done this. This is going to be a first. Mike, hit the music. My hustler play of the week is Scotty Scheffler, right? Here's the thing. Making Scotty lineups this week, easy. I was just bullshitting, and I made like 4 that I loved. And I was able to get like Goddard in them. I was able to get like, McIntyre and Goddard in them. You know what I'm saying? Like you can make Scotty lineups. Now, it's possible that people are going to think like me, right? And I don't think we'll see 8% like we saw the Scottish. But like a 12 to 15% Scotty Scheffler at the Open Championship, which he won last year, is in the realm of possibility. Now, again, we're doing this super early. So I don't know. Maybe everyone's thinking like me and they see, how easy it is to make these Scotty lineups. But I don't think it's going to happen when you see the 8% ownership this week, when you see the miscut this week. I mean, that's going to turn a lot of people off. And I think, Scotty, say what you will about him, but the guy's super competitive. He's going to not be very happy about the miscut going in there. I think he had the birdie last. I think he bogeyed it, if I'm not mistaken. And he's still the best player in the world. And if you can get the lowest ownership we've ever had at him at a major in 3 years, I think it might be worth it. And so I'm going to have at least one Scotty lineup, and Scotty is going to be my hustler play of the week. I'm playing Rory. I'm going to have 2 Rory lineups. Probably. I probably have 6 lineups total this week. Usually add one more for the majors. Maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But I'm definitely going to have one Scotty lineup. Definitely going to have probably 2 Rory lineups. And one of those Rory lineups is probably going to be with Fitz. So I'm going to have 2 Fitz lineups because, he's in my cash lineup. And so that's only 4 lineups. I still have 1 more left. So we'll see. Maybe I'll have 2 Scotty lineups. Who knows? But Fitzy just makes Rory just makes a lot of sense for me. He's played it, finished 4th. Again, the Open Championship thing, the National Opens. He's playing good golf. All he cares about is majors. We talked about this in the betting segment. I'm going to play both of those. I'm going to play 3 of these guys up here, which means probably not going to play many in the 9K range. Looking at it now, I don't think I'm playing anybody in the 9K range.
I think the difference between last week and this week is the 9K range or / who's available in the 8K range now that we have a 5K range, which, like you said, got her up. Talking about Scotty Scheffler, we got to talk about the 8K range because it's got Hovland, it's got Bobby Mack, it's got Sam Burns, Henley, Larry, all these names that could potentially be low 9K options in signature events when Scotty Scheffler's $14,200 with a 6K floor, so things change quite quickly. I would not be shocked if it got to 16, just pretty much doubled, Kenny, just by the introduction of the 5K range. But that miscut it could potentially, what you're seeing on your screen, piss a lot of people off that went Scotty's route. And I think it's going to be interesting. But I think price depicts what Scheffler's ownership is going to be, and opportunity cost in particular, being that 9K range that you couldn't play half the guys that are at the top of the leaderboard now at the Genesis, So that's one of the things. And you said a lot of people turning Scotty off. Rory's turning people on. Kenny, in a big way. You know, like if he finishes second this week, somehow in a playoff loss, it's perfect, right? That's going to just be even steamier. If he wins, his ownership may even go down from what it ultimately would be if he finished second, right? So that's kind of the world we live in for some reason, but I don't see any reason not to play Rory this week. Again, I said it, was it on last week's show where it feels so soon because it was only a couple of days ago, that I'm kind of just liking the top of the board. There's so many good names to choose from. We make our living in the 6, 7, 8K range this week where you differentiate yourself. So like you said, Matt Fitzpatrick, Rory, and Scotty will be in my player pool as well. I think it makes way too much sense. Fitzy getting a bit more of a maniac override from me because of just the course fit so far. I haven't done any of that modeling yet, but it also fits Tommy Fleetwood. So I wouldn't be shocked in my 150 lineups. I'm throwing a couple Fleetwoods in there as well. We're trying to get as many permutations as you can with your core that you have in the range where 7%, 5% guy that you are like 25% in on can really change your slate for you. You know, that's kind of how I'm adopting the new DFS strategy for myself in these big events. So
yeah, I will say in the 10K range, if I had to pick, it would be Rory 1, Fitz 2, Scotty 3 is the way I would go. Basically based upon pricing and stuff like that. But if you throw ownership into the mix and Scotty is by far, like say Fitzy and Rory are 22, 25% each, and Scotty's like 12, that jumps Scotty up in DFS a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. Maybe even above both those guys. When it comes to GPPs especially. You know, if you can get 12% Scotty, even 15%, and you know, Rory's going to be 25 plus. I know Fitzy is going to be 20 plus. You know, if you can get Scotty under 15, if you can get him 12, then I might go 3 Scotty lineups. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what the projections are. But like I said, you can make those lineups. So ownership is very, very important for this. Now, if you gather steam and it's like 25, 22, and 18 or something like that, 25, 22, and 20, then maybe I don't play him. Then maybe I don't play him.
Yeah, it's a game. We're playing against each other. You know, the percentages of ownership matter because it's just that many less lineups you have to beat when your guy is dominating. So that's basically it for you newbies that don't know anything about ownership. There's your 2-sentence explanation. In a sentence explanation, we've got a $9,800 golfer who made his debut in the Open Championship at this golf course, I think, in 2017. And Kenny, Xander Schauffele has now finished, I think, top 20 in 16 of his last 17 majors. So we are still riding that plus 700 top 20 in all 4 majors. If he finishes top 20, I'm cashing in big, you know, because we went big there. I don't know if he gives you the upside that we're looking for, though, from Xander. If you take a look at his current finishes in majors, it's kind of absurd. He's played particularly well at the Opens with a 7th and a 1st, obviously there. But just his last little track record here, it's been since the 2024 Open Championship that we've seen Xander Schauffele finish better than 7th. You know, it's been a long time. It's 7 starts now that he hasn't finished inside the top 5 of a major, and he's the 5th price guy. You know, wouldn't you think that a guy that's priced 5th needs to be finishing 5th or better a couple more times in the tournament he's going to be playing? So I'm not saying Xander's a bad play, but maybe for DFS, he's not providing you with like the upside you're potentially looking for at this price point. Whereas like he could be an absolute better fish bet. You know, if you go to him in the top 20 market at pretty close to even money or a cash game, you know, you're going to get that safety and floor from him. But I just don't see the upside coming through from Xander this week at $9,800. What are you kind of deciphering this $9,000 range at, Kenny? It's also I feel like it's a tiny one this week with only 5 guys.
I mean, the pricing is really soft this week. There's no doubt. And that's why you can afford Scotty so easily. The guy that interests me is probably John Rahm. And the reason for that, a lot of the times when you see John struggle at majors, it's because he's had a poor first round, right? You saw that again this week at the Scottish Open, where he shot, I think, 3 over. shot 73 or whatever, 74 on that first day. He was at 5 over at one point, almost dead fucking last, going into the back 9 of the first round. What we've seen from Rahm at major championships is he's been struggling in that first round, right? And he's had to claw his way back. And I think the reason for that is because the prep hasn't been as good. Either he's playing a course that Liv played that has no similarities to the major course, like they did when they played the, I think it was the U.S. Open where they played Valderrama the week before. I don't know, but that's what it seems like to me. The prep isn't there. And you sort of see it again. He hasn't played in a while, plays the Scottish, shits the bed in the first round, but then all of a sudden in the second round, he comes back with a 65, 66 to make the cut on the number. Now that he's playing an event where the lead up to the Open makes sense, it's not a links course, but a faux links course. The same ideas. The prep, I think, would be better. And, we'll see how he finishes on the weekend, but I could fully expect him the backdoor top 10 this week. Because that's just the way he's done when we've seen him play a lot of the times. Real shitty first round and then comes through. And I think that's because he hasn't been prepared. Next week at Birkdale, he's going to be prepared. He just finished 4 rounds at the Scottish Open leading up to this event. He'll have that under his belt. He knows what to expect. I think he could go low owned after what he's done the first couple of days. And I think he can make sense as a GPP option, as a leverage play. Because I think the 9K range is going to be dead. I think the 9K range is the dead zone this week. These guys haven't played the best golf here. His little stretch early in the year sort of faltered off. Rose, early in the year, majors, but not very consistent. Oberg, beginning of the year, real strong, sort of fallen off the last few weeks. Made the cut on the number, I think, at the Scottish. Xander, hasn't really had the upside that we expect him to have. This 9K zone could be the dead zone. And the guy that I would want to play in this dead zone would be John Rahm. I just feel like the price is a lot lower than normal, and he's getting the preparation he needs to play Birkdale. And I think that's going to be a big factor for him. So I think I will play John Rahm.
Yeah. He's not going to be a cash game cornerstone, Kenny, like you have Matt Fitzpatrick this week, who, by the way, is your cash game cornerstone for the Open Championship.
There we go. Yes.
At $10,000. Thanks, Mike, for the heads up there. But Rahm, a GPP option for sure. I think Justin Rose in particular, for me, he's exciting because you get this Rose. When you say inconsistency, Kenny, it's almost incredible to think that 6 of his last 8 major championships have been top 16 or better. If I'm reading this.
I was talking about normal events.
Normal, right. So like the moment you dive into the major splits for Rosie, it kind of loops us back to what I was saying there. This is insane. We've got 8 of his last 8 have been top 16 finishes. So it's really something to behold from the old guy. Ludwig Oberg, now that you mention it, Kenny, at $9,300, it feels kind of weird, and it feels like I'm picking on someone because he's going to be this week's Statfish of the week. He's the only, like, when you trying to engage on social media, you go out and you say, what do you notice on the screen that I'm taking a photo of? Yeah, the screen in front of you has everybody with the color of a best finish in an Open Championship of 8th or better, and that includes Bryson. If you remove him, it's 6th or better with Hatton, and if you remove him, it's 4th or better. All in this price range. Ludwig, yes, it's only his 3rd Open Championship, but his best finish is a 23rd last year, So we've also seen in majors, he's been struggling a little bit to kind of really get over that hump. I mean, he's $9,300. He is the 7th highest ranked golfer in the field. You got to give me a reason to play you. And if you're only giving me one top 17 in the last 7, 6, like anything outside of the Masters, the Masters is doing a lot of heavy lifting for Ludwig as well. This was a really bad finish for him, 21st. It was not a 7th or a 2nd like he's had before. So we've seen he's been struggling in majors, and he's also just struggling right now. As of Friday, I assumed he missed the cut. I guess it drifted back to -2, and he made it on the number. But either way, this is a golf course that Ludwig threw away a win a couple years ago. It's perfectly suited for him. He's just not playing the greatest golf right now. He's $9,300. I just don't see him. If you've been struggling to handle yourself under the gun at the Players Championship or whatever other tournaments, the Valero that he's thrown away, I'm going to find it very difficult to trust you to close out a tournament at $9,300 around Royal Birkdale for your first Open Championship win and your first major win. Again, we are starting to see a Ludwig who's dragging around some scar tissue. He showed up to the Masters in his debut at the Masters, in his debut major, finished 2nd. That is his best finish, obviously, in a major. He hasn't won one yet. So at $9,300, we got a bit of a poor track record in majors, and the form itself not quite where we wanted from Ludwig Åberg at the moment. He's going to be your Statfish of the week. 7th rank option at the top of the board here. I don't see the ownership going crazy like you mentioned, Kenny. This 9K range could be a bit of a ghost town. But again, it's probably going to be close to 10% anyway. I'm just going to say don't pay the rake, by not playing Ludwig Åberg this week. If the ownership drops to like 15%, the game theory, this 5%, sorry, the game theory like changes, but I don't know if he would be a 5% option, but overall, safety-wise, Ludwig, is going to be giving us a concern over there. As you know, go ahead.
So again, I did forget my first cash game cornerstone. Thank you. It is Matthew Fitzpatrick. We talked about it. He's ready to win his second major. I do like Fitzy as my first cash game cornerstone. Anybody else in the 9K range before we move to the 8s?
I'm right there with you on Rahm. And if Xander comes in low owned, you never know. You're only not finishing inside the top 5 until you do. He's good enough to do it. It's just been a while since he has. If that ownership drifts, he's a very fair price. You're going to almost be, guaranteed a top 20, touching as much wood as I possibly can over here while we get Xander across the line in the top 20 market there. But like you said, Cam Young has got a very interesting major track record, opens, things like that, but he's just gone off the boil. Again, I don't know if there's an injury situation involved. Can't
make a putt now.
That's
why he was so good. He was making everything, and now he can't make anything.
And that is why you want to be a good iron player for your entire career versus a good putter, because you don't just lose your irons like Cam Young's lost the putter. Not usually. If you're losing your irons, you're missing by a little bit there. If you're missing with the putter, it's either in or it's not. Like the
thing about Cam's iron play is it's good, but it's not great.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's like above average is what you're seeing. You're not seeing elite iron play from Cam Young. So when that putter don't work, it's tough.
Womp womp. Yeah, sad trombone. So in the $8,000 range, though, Kenny Kim, we've got a Tyrrell Hatton, who's a sad trombone himself. Colin Morikawa, whose back's a sad trombone. Bryson DeChambeau, sad trombone. Victor Hovland's interesting to me. Wyndham Clark's interesting. Bobby Mack in the $8,000 range. All over here. I kind of jumped over Chris Gotterup as well, who is anything but. He's a positivity trumpet, if you ask me right now. So what are you getting up to here in the $8,000 range, Mr. Kim?
All right. So for the second cash game cornerstone this week, it's going to be Chris Gotterup. His track record on links is small, but it's fucking impressive as hell. Right? First and a third last year, in contention this week at the Scottish. The game suits links course. Keep it low on the, underneath the wind. He's a proven winner. The upside is obviously there. Even though I like my cast lineup, but I don't see anybody missing the cut. I'm sure somebody will. That's just the way it goes. It's hard to get 6 of 6. So you want to play for a little bit of upside. Gotterup's got that. There's no doubt in my mind. Gotterup will be my second cash game cornerstone. My third cash game cornerstone is going to be Bobby Mack. What happened?
This Robert McIntyre photo is hilarious. It's of Jeff Feinberg.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. We're gonna take a picture of that one. For the X right there.
Cheers, Mike. What an absolute peach of a what a great situation.
I didn't even.
Oh my God, you caught me
I
so
didn't
off
even
guard.
notice it. I can't see out of the left side of my vision, so I didn't see it. That is hilarious. But yes, Bobby Mack, the Jewish Bobby Mack over here. If Bobby Mack was a Jew, there you go, right there. Now, I just lost.
Do you want to play Bobby Mack this week? That's for sure.
Lost all my train of thought. All right, yeah, Bobby Mack. We talked about him in that segment. The mental seems like he's there. He's so comfortable on link style courses. I love that fact, and I love what he said in that interview. If you go back and listen to the video, he just seems comfortable. He knows that in these type of courses that you're going to get unlucky, right? Being unlucky on a TPC course doesn't happen very often. And that's probably why he fucking unloads and goes crazy and cusses people out and shit like that, right? But here he's more calm. He's grown up on these courses. He understands what it takes to win. Give me Bobby Mack as my third cash game cornerstone. I fucking love this 8K range. Like,
yeah, it's loaded.
I want to play everybody. I know I cannot, but I want to play everybody. Wyndham Clark.
And by the way, Bobby Mack is looking for his first miscut at the Open Championship as well. He's never missed a cut at the Open.
Yeah, I don't think Fitzy has. Maybe Fitzy. I think Fitzy has. But most of these guys have good Open track records, at least when it comes to made cut percentage as well.
Carnoustie,
definitely.
2018 for Fitz.
Yep. And so, guys that make sense, like some guys that might be overlooked because we know that Hovland's going to be popular. We know that Wyndham Clark is going to be popular. The guys up top, and I'm probably going to play both those guys that I just said, Wyndham Clark and Hovland, but, we'll see. Their ownership is too high. Now, the two guys up top, Hat and Howa, are the ones that interest me. That could be leverage type play. I think there'll still be a good amount of ownership, but I think they will be on the lower end, maybe not Bryson low, who's a fade. And here's the thing, his price is so cheap. We're used to seeing Bryson on like $11,000. To get him at $8,500, $8,300 and possibly single digit ownership normally would be super attractive, right? But like
normally,
this is not like St. Andrews, right?
No.
Like you can't overpower this course unless you hit every fairway. And I just don't see that happening with Bryson. His game's not there. Like if you're going pure leverage, 6% Bryson is definitely tempting. I just don't think it's worth the juice is worth the squeeze, even at that low ownership. And that's saying a lot because usually like somebody of his ilk I see at low ownership, I'm just clicking, right? I don't even give a fuck. But I just don't think it fits. Now, Hovland and now Morikawa and Hatton, I think it does fit. I think, again, Hatton's in that same zone as Rahm. Had a real shitty first round. It was like 2-3 over at one point in time. Again, the preparation on Liv is just not there. He's going to get a full 4 rounds. Had a really nice round today. Shot 67. And I love the way I think he's played. I think he finished pretty highly up here in 2017. Am I wrong about that, Byron?
Probably. He missed the cuts.
Okay, maybe he missed the cut, but he has a pretty good track record at Open Championship. Yeah. He loves links golf. We've seen him, Alfred Dunhill, all those different links, DPT World Tour events that he has won and been near the top of the leaderboard for. I like Hatton still, and I like Morikawa. Morikawa's boom or bust. Definitely not a cash play. But when he's on at the Open Championship, he's had a win. He's had a top 15, right? But then he's had like 4 missed cuts, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken.
In all honesty, it's one of the most disgusting defenses of an Open Championship victory. To miss your next 2, and he hasn't sniffed the top 15 since. Like,
yeah, I think he had a 16th, right? Doesn't he have a 16th place?
Yeah, it's not a top 15 though.
That's
but
true.
you know what I'm saying. I'm just picking numbers to make it like seem.
Yeah.
But
and so, he's been playing a lot better this season, and I think that injury really derailed what could have been a pretty monster season for Morikawa. And I feel like with his third place at the Travelers, the back is healed. The game looks good, bro. The game has looked good all year. And so I think I might be in on Morikawa this week.
You know, he used to be like, if you just scroll to like get 2025 away, where, you know, the players happened before the Masters and he finished 14th at the Masters. And then like, I think Chris Powers like followed up at the Masters, like before the tournament began, asking him about the media and how he bailed out. I think the back injury, Kenny, saved his like career from a PR perspective. It just kind of, it gave us something else to talk about Colin Morikawa about, because he was kind of going down a road where he was just being this like entitled brat. And then either between having this back injury and a child, you know, two very humbling things that which kind of happen in sequence, to be honest with you. You usually have the child, then the back injury, but I think he had the back injury before.
Maybe it was that thing where you have the same injuries as your pregnant wife. Like, what's that thing? Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Sympathy weight.
Yeah, like, you know, like you like get mentally injured based upon your pregnant wife's injuries and stuff like that. I know that's a thing. I know that's
hormonal bitch, just completely just blowing people off behind the media center there.
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
Anyway, I don't know. It's been a while since Colin's been inside the top 10 of a Open Championship. I'm just joking. He finished 7th in the Masters this year. But you get what I'm saying, like the overall arching situation there. In the 8K range, obviously, I love Chris Gotterup a ton. I don't think I'll be touching Bryson, even if there is ownership to be kind of leveraged there. It's just never been a good thing. He's now looking for his second made cut in 6 majors. If he does it this week, you know, it's been rough. Again, with these live guys, I want to mention that kind of bringing it back to Hatton and Rahm in particular, Kenny, and the live guys in general, though. The fact that this tour is on live support, they're asking Jon Rahm questions about, are you going to be funding the tour you play on? You know, like, it's just how can you feel comfortable about your current situation when people are asking you questions if you're going to subsidize the people you're playing against? Like, how does that make you any sort of an athlete? That just turns you into like a glorified broker who can also shoot well under par, you know, after you've sucked it up on round 1, probably because he's too busy settling the books. But anyway, worth mentioning, the live guys have a lot of mental things that they got to deal with in weeks like this, and distractions are poor. Victor Hovland is interesting to me. We typically see Victor Hovland, friends, have a top 5 once a year. And if you look in 2026, that has not happened. In 2025, he finished 3rd at the US Open. In 2024, he finished 3rd at the PGA. In 2023, he finished 2nd at the PGA and 7th at the Masters. 2022, he finished 4th at the Open Championship. Do we see ourselves have a top 5 from Victor Hovland at the Open Championship, a golf course that requires very accurate driving of the golf ball? He's kind of drifted back in the pack when it comes to distance lately, Kenny, but he's driving it accurate. He's playing some good golf. I love him at Open Championships with all the putting he can do from around the greens. His game suits this. We due for a top 5 in a major. Victor Hovland at $8,300, probably one of my, you know, I see Gotterup being more owned than Victor this week, but I do like Victor a lot as well. Chris Gotterup, in my opinion, I'm just going to go to town on him this week, though. He's just too easy to not click. Wyndham Clark is fascinating because we've got this really interesting track record in majors, Kenny, where this is his last current situation. He won the US Open. He missed the cut, 21st, 4th at the Open Championship, miscut, 50th, 46th, miscut, 56th, miscut, 33rd, and then a US Open win. It's insane. He's got 3 top 5s in majors. 2 of them are wins, and he's also got only 3 top 30s in majors. You know, like 2 US Open wins and 3 top 30s. It's just insane to think about. So,
yeah, I thought about him in cash, and after I saw all that, the major, you know, I just couldn't do it.
And it was for this very reason that he was the Statfish of the week at the US Open, and you're staring at a big green 1 in that box. Probably my worst my Statfish. I got catfish bad by not playing him that week. But again, the general principle is there once again this week for me. The inconsistencies in these majors are there. He's playing the best golf of his life, though. I would obviously now not be shocked to see him win this week again. Monitoring the ownership on Wyndham Clark. I love Bobby Mack as well. Scooting into the $7,000 range where we get a couple more value guys. We got some Shane Lowrys, Sam Byrne, Russell Henley, Justin Thomas, Alex Fitzpatrick, Waco Neiman, Jordan Spieth, the defending champ of this venue, and the PGA champion, Aaron Rai, followed out with Patrick Cantley at $7,000 flattish, kind of like what Patrick Cantley gives you every single week. What are we doing, Kenny Kim, in the sevens?
I'm going to be playing Sam Burns. Now, I know he doesn't have the best open track record, but he's made the majority of his cuts. I think 4 of his 5 cuts. He just hasn't finished well. But at this price, and the way he's playing, his form and his major form, I think it's worth giving him a look. I'm going to play Sam Burns this week. Another guy I'm going to play, I think I'm going to play Neiman. What he showed at the U.S. Open was pretty fucking ballsy. With the penalty that he had, the 11 that he had, and then coming back and then still finishing in the top 10. That showed me a lot, really. And I've always thought that the Open Championship should be Neiman's best chance to win a major because of that low ball flight, because of his penchant of playing well in the wind. We know that he's a world-class golfer, right? I mean, you could say one about Liv, but he's won. I haven't made up my mind final, but I'm looking towards playing Neiman this week. I'm going to play Patrick Reed, 7,000 even. I was worried about him this week because his form hasn't been that great, but he showed a lot this week so far in the first couple of rounds. I think he's going into the weekend. Again, Open Championships and the Masters seem to be like where his 2 major championship best chances are going to be. He's played well at Opens before. The short game is always extremely helpful. I like Patrick Reed this week.
Kenny, Waco Neiman, when I was in college, probably my junior year, I made bogey on the first hole, drivable par 4, rip driver down the right-hand side, lands on the cart path, goes out of bounds. I make a 7. I think I shot 78 that round after going 4 over the first 9. So I think I went 2 over from then. And for the next 36 holes after that round, I was only 3 over par. And I don't think I would have played that good a golf if I hadn't ripped 1 OB and been 4 over par after 2 holes. That was just me. I totally understand what's going through Rocco Neiman's head. It's this uncertainty, the lack of confidence you have in your game early on in a big tournament. I always used to play better the second 9. I always used to play better the second 18. That's just always how I'm a bitch. I never nutted up right away. I needed to find myself under the gun. And I feel like Neiman is in the same situation. The fact that he finished 7th after taking an 11 just shows you how underperformed he has been in majors. He's obviously got the talent to do it. Maybe these 2 backdoor top 10s now that he has at Quail and the US Open can really help him get through. But I do think he's absolutely worth a look in Showdown and live ads. If he gets off to another slow start, I mean, he eyes backdoors like John Rahm does. Between the 2 of them, they just licking their lips anytime they shoot a 75 in the first round. So we'll see what happens there. Some names that we want to chat about as well with some positivity. I mean, I could not think of a better venue for Aaron Rai, the PGA champion, to come through here and do his thing. $7,100. He has also got a stellar major track record. If we take a look over here, going backwards, we've got to go all the way back. And this is Aaron Rai at $7,100, friends. One of the most accurate drivers in the world. Just finished 11th at the US Open after winning the PGA Championship. we got to scoot all the way back to 2022 Open Championship for an Aaron Rai miscut in a major. And that was when he was barely playing any golf, like he was kind of getting sporadic starts here and there. If you take a look at this last little track record starting here at this 39th at the PGA Championship, we are looking at, what is that? 15 consecutive made cuts. Oh no, there's a miscut involved here as well. But we get what I'm saying. The pedigree now is there. He's a major champ, and we've been seeing some really good golf. Gee whiz, I'm moving all sorts of stuff here. For Aaron Rice, $7,100. Let's go. I'm in. At $7,400. By the way, a green background means that you've got a major win or a second in an open top 10. A yellow font color means that you've got one of the two. And then orange means you got neither, by the way. So that's the color coding over here. Alex Fitzpatrick is a perfect fit for this golf course. He's going to be so accurate. And we've also got, I think, a really solid finish a couple years ago when we got that Netflix documentary where old Fitzy finished 17th at the 2023 Royal Liverpool Open Championship. He finished just behind, I think, his brother that year. Oh, no, he beat his brother. So, that was the first of many victories Alex Fitzpatrick's going to have over his brother there. If you're looking for a guy that's super accurate off the tee, who finished fifth at an Open Championship 2 years ago, who's been underperforming a little bit this year in majors, despite having finished third at the Masters in 2026 this year, Russell Henley. I mean, he's always under the radar. I love him theoretically in windy conditions, but I think we've come to learn that when it gets blustery, he just gets blown off the golf course. But again, it's only 10 to 15 miles per hour this week. Not that big of a deal. If the course is baked out, his little tumbling 270-yard burners that land at 270 are going to roll out to 320, if it's crispy out there. So I can see myself creaming myself over crispy fairways this week when Russell Henley's hitting a lot of them. In the $6,000 range, Kenny Kim, where are we going at the Hideki Matsuyamas, the Tom Kims, the Cameron Smiths, the Timothys, Harris English, JJ Spahns?
Final cash game cornerstone for me is going to be Tom Kim. Again, track record at Open Championships, good form coming in, iron game very, very strong. He's been making a lot of cuts as the lowest price guy in your cash lineup. That's basically all you're looking for. And if you guys are new to the show, cash lineups, I play double ups, single entry double ups, one lineup for about $250, $225 worth of double ups is the way I do it. So cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Matthew Fitzpatrick at 10,000, Chris Goddard at 8,500, Bobby Mack at 8,000, Tom Kim at 6,800. This leaves like 16,500, like a lot of money left. And I haven't decided on my final two guys, but I have combinations that I am thinking of. First one is going to be Xander and Corey Connors. Those fit with the money that you have left. Next would be Hatton and Burns. That's the one I think I have in there right now as my placeholder. Another one that would work would be Clark and Hovland. You can put Clark and Hovland in there with the 4 cash game cornerstones I have. Or if you want to get uber aggressive and you're not like Byron, you can go Patrick Reed, Oberg as well. So those are like the options that you have left for the final two after those 4 cash game cornerstones. I'm leaning towards Hatton, Burns, or Clark and Hovland. Those are the two that I've been leaning towards. I had Clark and Hovland initially. Then Clark worries me a little bit, like you were saying, but he's playing so well. Then I went Hatton, Burns, but maybe it will be Clark and Hovland. I don't know. I'll know by Tuesday.
Xander Harris English.
Xander English would work. Xander Connors. Yeah.
When you said the Connors, I think English just gives you a bit more safety with a bit more major upside. Corey Connors is hilariously one of the few guys that if you take a look at his major upside, it's disgusting. He doesn't have any.
But he makes every cut at the
makes a lot of cuts. But this red He's got 0 top 5s, got a couple top 10s. Don't be fooled. Those are mostly all at Augusta, with a couple of them coming at the Open Championship as well, though. Is Corey Connors. He's kind of sneaky in that department, but I do like Harris English over him in that respect. Just
you can
given
even go JJ Spawn, because JJ's probably one of my favorite plays in the 6K range. JJ, accurate off the tee, iron game good, short game well above average, right? Former major winner, right? He checks those boxes. He has not. I think he played his first Open Championship last year, top 25, right? So I like JJ a lot here in the 6K range. Bhatia, Akshay interests me a little bit here in the 6,600. Again, his game hasn't been that great since his win. But at this price tag, I'm willing, the talent's there. I'm definitely willing to take a risk. Solid short game. Avoids bogeys pretty well. The putting has been very, very good. He can get that hot putter and take this to the bank. He really could. And he has a talent. I like Bhatia down here. Alex Noren's intriguing as well. It seems like this type of course, to grind it out, Linksy style course, seems like it's right up Noren's alley. I think he had a good finish here in 2017. He can spike. We've seen some spikes from him this season. Noren's a guy down here. Matthew Wallace.
Alex Noren, Kenny, 5 of his last 6 Open Championships have been 23rd or better.
There you go. He's
$6,400. Like back on home soil, Euro soil, very affordable, playing okay, right now.
Matt Wallace is a guy who's going to be very, very low owned, right? But he's been having a decent run. I think he had a really strong finish in Europe a few weeks ago and backed that out with a decent finish in the States on his next run. When it comes down to it, his birdie or better percentage, very, very good. Par 4 scoring, very solid. I can get behind Tong Lee down here at $6,200. If he gets super popular, I'd probably fade him. I should have done that with Kevin Yu this week. Once I saw that he was going to be the highest owned in the 6K range, I should have thought twice about it. I didn't. It bit me in the ass. So we'll see about his ownership. If he's going to be one of the higher owned guys, then I probably won't go on him. Rasmus Højgaard is in the lead right now, right? Or he was in the lead, first round leader last at the Scottish. Jordan Smith in the lead.
Yeah.
At $6,100. There are definitely some plays here in the 6K range. Who do you like?
Yeah, there's a lot to really like. Yeah. Alex Smalley is doing some stuff. I don't know what he's really up to be honest with you. I think he's just a total wild card. He checks the fact that he's finished second at the PGA Championship. He's playing in his debut Open Championship. So he's $6,000. You never know. He's a very good driver of the golf ball as well. I think Hao Tong Lee, if he gets a little too owned, we'll see there. What did I want to mention? Jason Day. You never know what you're going to be getting from J Day. We got to, when it comes to these like scrappy open conditions, he's just got it. He knows how to handle this kind of a golf course. I think Wrighton makes a lot of sense. He also has a top 30 year in the last Open Championship over there. And then Brian Harmon, the defending Open champion from 2020-23, almost had a slip up there, has also finished 60th and 10th in the 2 finishes since. Prior to that, he finished 6th. He's also been really consistent in majors. You got to go back all the way to the Masters of 2024 that he missed his last major cut. He's not necessarily a golfer that's going to overcome major conditions given his lack of length. I think the Open Championship of them all is the one spot that really allows him to provide the upside that his game does possess. And we see a lot of old guys win the Open Championship. Brian Harmon plays like an old guy, and he's obviously won one of these before. Does he win again? No, but I wouldn't be shocked if he top 20s at $6,600. Brian Harman, too much sense, along with Harris English. I will be heavily invested in Harris English at his price tag this week now that I don't have that top 40 rolling out there on him for the all four majors anymore. Other names, I mean, if Sahith Thagala can send his fiance/wife off into the UK tubes for the week, I think he'll have a much better chance of playing good golf. Makes a lot of sense at a course like this, but again, mental stuff, off the course things for him, big issues in my opinion. In the fives, Kenny, we got Louis Oosthuizen. We got Billy Horschel. Some names.
Billy Horschel makes sense. I think you said it before. When Billy goes into Europe, he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I think he makes sense down here. I think Novak could be somebody to take a peek at. He had a nice little 67 to start his first round in Scotland. He looked real good yesterday on Thursday in that first round. I saw a lot of his play. He was in a featured group. Super, I mean, the form is obviously there to translate to the Open Championship. Who knows? But when you're going down to the 5K range, you're taking big risks. And I think this is a less of a risk than others, maybe just because of his form and the way he's playing. Yes, for Svensson, who didn't play very well yesterday but made the cut on the number today, is a guy who has played links golf well in the past. Nico at 5,500 is another person, by the water in windy conditions, not too long of a course. He makes sense. Once you get below 5,500, though, I can't really see anybody.
Yeah, you kind of just leaning into guys that can play good links golf. Some past links champions. Henrik Stenson at $5,200. I don't know what state of his game is. Dive into that a bit more. But if you're playing 150 lineups, throw him in a couple. I think that wouldn't make any horrible situation for you there. Francesco Molinari, friends, he's $5,600. You are literally just looking for this guy to make the cut for you. He's only missed 2 of the last 3 Open Championships, but prior to that, he had a 15th, and other side of that, he's got a 63rd. He's $5,600. It's going to be a situation, where you got to make some nasty clicks. Matthew Jordan, 10, 45th in 3 Open Championships in his last 3. So, that's Jordan, a go.
He looked, and the few times he's played where the stats have been recorded, I mean, his numbers look pretty good. I think he's behind Suber, only behind Suber in the 5K range in my model, but that's because he doesn't play here very often. But a lot of those were Open Championships where we're getting stats from, right? And you look at 26th in approach, 28th in ball striking, 8th in driving accuracy. And again, small sample, but the majority of these numbers have come from Open Championships. Yeah.
And at $6,100, he's giving you like a 45th.
Oh, Matthew Jordan,
22nd.
Matthew Jordan is 5,500.
I'm looking at Jordan Smith. Goodness gracious. We got Matthew Jordan, Jordan Smith, Cam Smith. Anyway, Matthew Jordan, same, but kind of similar stuff in a way with the finishes there. So I don't mind that at all either.
Oh, so it was Jordan Smith that had those good finishes, is what you're saying.
Matthew Jordan's also he's got a couple, a 10th, and a 45th in his last 3 Open Championships. Jordan Smith has got a 45th, a miscut, a 41st, and a 47th, but I think he's also
so it was Matthew Jordan who had the good
Matthew Jordan, yes, good God. We got Jordan Smith, Jordan Spieth, Matthew Jordan, the full love triangle here in the 6K range where Jordan Spieth probably does belong anyway. Anyway, that's going to be it for us in the $5,000 range here. If you want to take a look at Stuart Sink playing some fantastic golf on the PGA, on the Seniors Tour, $5,500, that's enough. I think we'll deep dive a couple nasty names on the Back 9 Bet Show 3 Eastern. One and done wise, Kenny, I am going to be going with, I think, Justin Rose this week.
Yeah, Bobby Mack, Hovland. If you want someone sneaky, Morikawa could be sneaky this week with not that much ownership.
Yeah. Fair. It was either Justin Rose or Xander for me. I've been waiting to play Xander, and he just hasn't shown me like I needed a regular season win or something like that to go there. I'm, in the mood for him to do some good things there, but I'm going Justin Rose this week. It's go time. Did you see that he released a YouTube documentary about himself? There's a YouTube video now, a 45-minute long thing that you can watch Justin Rose's life, and it's like kind of leading up to the Open Championship right now. It's a pretty sick doc. I've watched about 10 minutes of it, and it's, if you're a Justin Rose fan like I am, I've enjoyed it so far. But we're moving. As you can tell, we're in a different studio yet again. I've got, for the first time in the studio, I've got stuff going on above me because I'm in the basement now. So lots to be desired in the Lindeque land. Now, as always, everything you found on the screens this week can be found in the Model Maniac Patreon. Go check it out in the link in the description. There's a nice little promo code for you there. If you want to do that, go over to DraftKings, use code FGD to get yourself a first-time deposit bonus over there as well, courtesy of us here on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Follow me at the Model Maniac on X. Kenny Kim, get us the hell out of here for this week's Open Championship.
Follow me on X at KendoVT. Final betting card will be there. Any tidbits and information that you need will be there, and some funny shit will be there. Big week for England, right? They're playing Sunday against the Norwegians. We got the Open Championship coming up. Big week for the guys in
Wimbledon.
Yeah, hopefully big week for us as well. Let's win some motherfucking money, DGen Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words.